here we go. Welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode number 71. Those of you probably noticing that, wow, your audio has improved since the last time you did one of these videos. Well, that's because today I got myself a brand new microphone. Yep. Yeah, I got tired of the last one, so that was simply the reason why I basically decided to change, and, well, that's pretty much the reason for it. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, in the case of this particular episode, episode anyways, well, we're discussing episodes 37 to 44 of Spielban. Yes, the last 8 episodes of the series. In these episodes, basically, in the case 37-39, this is basically it's a wrap-up of the Yuki arc. Well, after Riki was turned into a chair in the previous episode, she is pretty much basically just like that for the rest of the series. The actress herself never returned, but the statue is still there. As a matter of fact, it stays there for the rest of the series. Yeah, so Yuki has this thing like, okay, so at one point he tried to take over town, which of course yeah. Oh, by the way, in 37 he does not use a battle droid. Yes, 37 is noteworthy for this series. It is the first episode without one. Yeah, the Mechanoid. It's actually the first and episode that you introduced the last one. He's like, he's battling. Not needed. The whole thing of this one is him controlling the town and trying to convince Spielban, his sister Helen, and Dinah the fact they are in fact traitors. But in actuality, they are not traitors at all. No, not really. Well, actually not traitors, more like a part of some international crime syndicate. Well, thanks to part basically there was a political figure, a politician working with Yuki, and the other people immune to Yuki's evil is an old man and his grandson. I'm like, that's interesting. Yes. As for the reason for this, I don't really know exactly the reason why that he's basically immune, but that's basically how it is here. But in the case of what happens, well, pretty much in the way you get defeated, and well, actually they free the town by basically destroying whatever he's working on, and they just move on from there. Next one, well, this one's interesting. Because the fact this one in failure, Yuki takes a sideline for this one. Yes, he basically stays a sideline, does not interfere in the operation. The whole thing is basically like, okay, so Walthall kidnapped 2 scientists who make this machine that basically clone organs. I'm like, that's interesting. Given the fact that Star Trek did this just a couple years later, where there was a doctor on the show where she actually cloned a Klingon spine. Yes. I don't know if in fact the writers of TNG took inspiration from this episode with the whole cloning organs thing. So the robot is like, oh, they have basically like this little girl's parents' brains. But actually, no, they're just clones of the brains, not the actual ones. And they had to trick them. It's a very interesting episode. Also in the episode, Yuki wants to overthrow Werther, and, well, he kind of does for the next episode. While doing his own... Well, he also builds his own mechanoid in the episode. Yeah, also 39 has 2 mechanoids. Yes, freaking 2. Because you have Yuki making his out of remains of destroyed ones. Yes. Yeah, he basically builds his own, and then, of course, they actually built another one with stuff. And he is defeated by his own people because he dares try to overthrow them. So it takes Pandora's magic to beat him, and then throw him in a coffin, shove him down some spiritual well that supposedly destroys his body. They have a funeral for him, and that's it for him. Because the vacuumer basically sends out rid of him. Now, 40 is not exactly the final appearance of Ghislaine. It is his penultimate appearance in the entire series. Because after this episode, he is absent for the next two, and they pops again for the penultimate episode. The reason for this is kind of weirdly explained. So, now 40, meanwhile, though, it's like, okay, so what is the plot of 40? 40 also features the third to last monster of the series, who was active for VTubers as Lizardbot. The whole thing with this one is all about finding this real sword. I'm like, that's interesting. You're probably thinking, was this taken from Super Sentai? Excuse me. Nope. How about Kamen Rider? Surprisingly, no. Yeah, this is one of those rare occasions where a Metal Heroes episode actually comes up with an original concept. So, this guy's going just bending these swords because not the sword he's looking for. And it turns out this rusty sword is the sword he's looking for. It's like this evil sword. And then the sword gets destroyed itself by the little girl who basically just loves the sword so much. Basically realizes he's being used, so he's destroyed, and eventually the monster's destroyed at the end of the episode. It's a very interesting idea. Of course, Defso is basically blamed for this. And then Ghislaine disappears next episode. They say he's basically off the Ghislaine to find out Spielban's weakness. What he actually did was actually weird. What gets that? 41 is by far the most bizarre episode series. Defso wants to get married. So he kidnaps Dinah to marry her. And they throw all this movie stuff, which I thought was kind of fun. But the whole thing of Defso trying to marry one of the heroes of the series is hilarious. He's one of the villains. My guess is that the reason why they did this, of why this episode had to happen, because we gotta throw in one more comedy episode. It's been a while since we had a comedy episode, and that's literally what this episode was. It was a comedy episode. Even though they're trying to move away from the comedy episodes, but yeah, we have one. But they're probably like, okay, let's just one more, even though we move away with the comedy episodes, because make it more serious, let's do one basically comedy episode because, well, the series is about the end anyways. We only have a few episodes left to go, so why not? It's an okay episode. Next episode is interesting. It's all about Death Zone. He gets a special upgrade, which basically this upgrade allows Queen Pandora to control his body. Yes. It also kind of reveals that General Death Zone is in fact a robot. Yes. Her original command is a robot. By the way, the whole thing of having a new guy come in, have these command get demoted, that actually has happened before. Yes. The only series I can think this happened with was Go-Go 5. Yeah, the series that was infamous for its love of stock footage. To the point where they show the same battle sequence between the Rangers and the Grunts for 20 straight episodes in the same area. This in fact they're nowhere near this area. Denzime kind of uses it, but basically they did trim this down. So it's the standard stuff, basically trying to do one of his token disaster plans because he personally requested from Queen Pandora, hey, until Emperor Ghislaine gets back, can I just go kill Spielban with one last monster? And I guess Queen Pandora is like, by the way, in episode 42, this is noteworthy. We see the return of Dr. Bio. Well, the version that's basically a brain in a jar. First time we've seen this thing since episode 31. When Emperor Ghislaine decided to drop alcohol in his tank, and then he wasn't seen again. It's like he was shoved in the closet, and I guess that's, oh, here he is here, and then of course he briefly appeared in episode 41. Here he's fully back here. And the whole point of his return is that basically leading to the finale. So by the end of 42, which is a very good episode by the way, General Destiny was defeated. Not the first time Metal Heroes does this, where, for the ones I've seen, where the second command is killed off before the very end of the series. Because you're probably like, oh, maybe they killed the second command by the final episode. Nope, we do this roughly at the third to last episode mark. Now, those of you curious, was this something that Metal Heroes borrowed from Sentai? It did. From Denzi, well, actually, no. The first time they did this was actually Battle Fever J. Because Jack didn't have this because they only had one guy who was a regular character. And they kept replacing the other generals. But one who has been there a long time since like the first episode. Yeah, this is all started Battle Fever J, where you have the general get defeated before the finale. This also happened in Denzi Man. Did it happen to Vulcan? Not really, per se. I'd say no. As a matter of fact, the villain was actually off in that one before the very end. For Gogo V, I'd say yes, that one did. What about Denzi Man? Denzi Man, surprisingly, what was actually the second one I can think of where the main villains before the very end of the series. So, didn't happen that one. Okay. How about Changeman? I believe it did happen there, where the second command of that one did die before the finale. Okay. For Life Man, I'd say no. Mask Man, I believe yes. Flashman, yes. So this is something that would happen there too, where they have like the long-running generals in the series, and he gets killed before the very end. Nothing unusual there. This did happen to heroes also in Gavin, Shervan, and Shervin and Schneider. It happened all three of those there. Heck, even happened in the following series, Metalder. Nothing unusual there. And then the very next episode of the series, excuse me, get this, Ghislaine returns, and he's a spirit. You're thinking, wait a minute, was he time traveling? Apparently he ended up in hell, where he basically willingly makes himself a spirit. He has this creature slowly killing Diana the whole episode, and the only way to beat him is to get this. They use the Kalan energy stored in the spaceship to kill Ghislaine. And Queen Midora is more upset over his death than anybody's death the whole series. And then in response to it, she just goes where Dr. Bio is and says, hey, Dr. Bio, you want your original form back? And I guess he's like, sure. And there he is, back in his original form. First time he's been like this since episode 21. Because he's been a brain in the jar the whole time. Just a brain and eyeballs. So, you're probably thinking, does he create new bio-life forms? Nope. He just there witnessing stuff. And also, Pos, the gerbil who worked for Ghislaine, is now working for Pandora. Which, of course, like, okay, so they find out what the fortress is, and then Queen Pandora herself goes out, in the penultimate episode, mind you, where we reveal she actually can transform. And she has two forms plus another form. The first form is a battle mecha form for her, where she can split to a bio-life form, which is like a plant, which will be actually starfish later. And they battle her for a while, and then of course, like Dr. Bile basically just activates the switches, and then he collapses. Queen Medora is back in the fortress, and then Dr. Bile becomes Dr. Ben again in present day. How the heck is this possible? Never explained. So, at the end of the penultimate episode, it's revealed that the Wolthall Spirit, who's been the guardian deity the entire series, he and Queen Medora are the same person. You're like, what? Yeah, they're the same person. Reveal this in the penultimate episode. Right, this actually was revealed in the final episode, and that the Wolthall Spirit was an illusion. Well, that's a lie. So then they battle her again. At one point, it seemed like about to kill Spielban, Helen, and Diana. When, by the way, also Ben proceeds to go to his own lab when he was Dr. Bio, and then the gerbil Poss basically comes in, tries to basically attacks him, and then apparently there's all these viruses will kill humanity, and then of course he shows Poss into one of them, killing Poss, revealing he actually was a bio life form all along. Interesting. And they use the virus, injects it to Queen Medora, who, by the way, at this point she actually go back to normal self, and she merged into two beings into one, like a cybernetic form, and eventually Spielban gets a second win and basically destroys Queen Medora. And so she actually was a starfish all along. Yes, seriously. And then the Wolthall Fortress explodes and crashes in the lake. And then Spielban, Diana, and Helen, like at one point it seemed like they're on like a site, like a road, and then they're in the desert. Like, wait a minute, that's Khan City. Like, are they back on Khan? It's a bit confusing, this ending. Where, and then Spielban and Helen see their parents, who were dead. And Diana sees her mom. Well, I mean, they do see the ruins of the Wolthall Fortress. Apparently, they reveal, get this. So, Diana, Helen, and Spielban didn't, go off one planet. They basically went to Callan's past, which was Earth in the past. So, Callan is Earth, apparently, and it was more or less the future. And when they see them, of course, by the way, before this, after Queen Medora was defeated, Spielban picks up his father's pen. Then, when Spielban sees his father, he shows him the pen, and Helen shows their mom her pendant, and of course, they remember, oh, Spielban, Diana, Helen. Now they remember. They forget the fact these three had children, and they play in the ocean. And by the way, these three were actually in their crystallized form, and then the form just disappears with no explanation. The ship disappears. It crashed, but it wasn't destroyed. But they said stay on Earth anyways. And then, the ending with this, it's just a really bizarre ending. It's oh, Wolthall was defeated. Apparently it was 10,000 years in the past. Okay. That doesn't explain anything. Oh, and here's the weird thing. None of these characters have returned after this. At this episode, none of the cast returned. It was the same thing with the following series, Batalder, where, nobody returned. We did see the footage for the show as VR Troopers a decade later, along with Talder and Schneider. Yep. But not much else to say about Spielban. I like a lot of the series of Spielban. I do gotta admit, yes, they reuse plot ideas from Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, but I don't mind it at all. And sadly, but this also was the finale series for the guy who been spearheading the series since Shuzu Ura. This was, in fact, his last series he worked on for Metal Heroes. He did work on one episode of Talader, and he came back for episode Blue SWAT, but that was it. He also apparently wrote the opening theme song. Oh, he wrote the second ending theme song for Spielban. Yeah. So in the case of Spielban, out of the 44 episodes, he wrote all but episodes 23, 27, 32, and 41 to 41. And that was it. Yes. And final thoughts on Spielban. I thought it was a good series. Can't wait for the next series. Watch it's going to be Jaspion. This one I initially noticed on Crunchyroll, but then Crunchyroll took it off for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that'll be next Metal Heroes to work on. But before that, I'm going to be working on Killer Ranger, the Sentai adapted for Dino Charge. That's next. And then it's on this Jaspion. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. And see you tomorrow. Bye.